Hello, beautiful stars. Happy Thursday night for a guest interview with Sophia Rasmussen. You can catch Sophia quite often on Andromeda 7, and all the info links you need are below in the description. So, how are you, Miss Sophia?
Busy and in high gear, but very grateful and moving forward with spirit right beside me as always. Thanks for having
It,
me.
yeah, I have to admit, I occasionally drop into Andromeda 7 on Friday nights, folks. So after you watch Lucky Stone 888 here with Esoteric Tea, then you move on over to there, right? And so I occasionally drop in and I'll be in the chat. And I just really always appreciate your commentary
Oh,
during that panel discussion, whatever's being discussed. I'm always like, yes, right on, Sophia, yes.
thank you.
And then I kind of bit the bullet and was like, why don't you just have her on here, Courtney? So I gotta ask, I think everybody's feeling kind of the busyness. Tis the season of the busy. But you just said that, but you're grateful through it and spirit's guiding you. Do you
Yep.
find it difficult to kind of stay grateful in the chaos of what's busy?
No, I really don't. I meditate a lot. I spend a lot of time in meditation, listening, to my guides and spirit because I feel not only am I a steward of what I possess as far as material things, I'm also a steward for the gifts and abilities that I was born with. So being grateful and staying connected kind of for me goes hand in hand.
Hand in
So
hand, even when
yeah.
life starts throwing everything at you.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm human. I have my moments, but that's what the journal's for,
Oh,
because when
cool.
life
Good.
happens, in my opinion, that's energy of the East. That's thought and intention. And the most underutilized wand in the entire world is this glorious pen right here. And the only way you can take a thought and intention, which is where the imbalance and, you can't get out of your own head, you have to write it down. That's the
Oh,
only way
I
out that
love
I've
that.
found. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I do love that. For me, the pen will always be mightier than the sword. The pen is very mighty for me.
Right.
And in all ways and shapes like that. That's lovely because it is usually us in our own way. I mean, I will
Mhm.
admit just this past week, I looked at my October calendar and I went, holy goodness, how did this happen? Like things just kept adding on without me noticing. And I had about a day or two there in and out of thought, in and out of work, in and out of this going, I don't have a single weekend. Like, what is happening here? You
Not
know?
till December.
Yeah, right. Exactly, right.
Yep.
So, and I can't wait until December. I think December can be very good for people. Maybe we'll get into it. So, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I have so much inquiry.
Let's go.
Uh, let's go. Let's start with I know that you teach and do readings
Hmm.
at the All My Relations in Indianapolis, like on the west side of
Yep.
Indianapolis, Indiana.
Hmm.
So all of my Yankee friends, loved ones, I lived in Northern Illinois for the majority of my life. I've been down in the South for about 9 years. So all of you, Indianapolis is not that far away. We
Mm-mm.
went there all the time. Come on now.
Yep.
So all my relations, metaphysical shop in the west side of Indianapolis. You do teachings and readings there. What kind of teachings do you do? I'm curious. I'm excited.
Oh, well, I teach Intro to Astrology, which I break it down and introduce the information the way that I feel would have been helpful for me when I began that journey many, many, many moons ago. So what I reveal and briefly to the Intro to Astrology are the established patterns. Because you look at the zodiac and you have 12 of them, and it's like, well, projective receptive. It goes back and forth in the different modalities and the different elements. And once you find the pattern, it makes it easier to somewhat memorize because with any type of metaphysical or work like that, there is some memorization that comes with it, but I like to make it smaller for people so they don't feel so overwhelmed because the patterns are there. And I feel if you're called to learn it, that spirit will assist. And that's my experience and what I've seen happen with the people I have the privilege to work with.
That
Yep.
I'm really enjoying this, by the way. Um, I knew I was gonna like you. Um, I like the fact that you're doing a different take, like within that,
Hmm.
because I never learned astrology. I mean, I kind of know enough to get around. My mother was the astrologist.
Ooh, nice.
And yeah, so I grew up with, all of her books on the desk back before computers, and she'd
Right.
be with all of her tools, doing all the math. And
Yeah,
that's why I never got into it, because I grew up looking at that going, no way, no way. That's so time consuming. No way.
it
Why don't you
was.
just tell the person what's going on,
Right.
Um, but for me, I see patterns in everything. That's actually how I used to teach how to like write good English papers. There's a
Hmm.
pattern. Just find it. Here you go.
Hmm.
I do. So when you're speaking there, I understand to the best of my ability, considering it's zodiac, what you mean by that. And I believe that would make it so much easier for people to not be intimidated.
Exactly, because I feel that's what stifles a lot of people that have a passion to learn this particular modality because you look at it and it's just wow. And what
Yeah.
really happens, and I've got some dry erase boards because I'm old school, but what
Yeah.
you see with each zodiac sign briefly is actually a projection of the ruling planet. So when you realize that, hey, I'm looking at the attitude of the planet that's behind this sign, you go from 12 down to 7, or if it's including the sun and the moon, 9.
Right.
So
Right.
it simplifies it, and I introduce the material in more than one way, and I make myself available to the people that I work with. So if they're diving into it and they get, just email me, let me know what's going on. I can't help you unless that's part of my coursework that I offer is the ability and the accessibility to be like, hey, I'm in this particular part of it, and be like, okay, let's back up so we can go forward. And it's amazing to see people
Yes.
get excited about something that was so daunting to begin with. Yeah.
Yes. And I love, that's a true teacher's heart.
Hmm.
That's all of my students know I am accessible. I am
Hmm.
available. Email me, whatever it needs to be. It- we'll
Hmm.
figure it out, even if I don't know. So we're gonna figure it out. Yeah.
Together. And
Yeah.
to kind of segue to the other class that I'm actively teaching is Introduction to the Runes. So the runes are 24 symbols. Oh, the runes, heart, love, forever. Um, but what we do there is I help them make their own set of runes. So we have these beach tiles, a nut bearing tree is what is suggested. And then we go
Yeah.
through all 24 runes. It takes 2 classes to cover it, but I draw with them, so they can make their own runes, so they can spend time with it because the runes aren't just a divination tool. And a lot of people don't realize that, that you can use them for meditation. You can use them to strengthen your intention. You can put them on an object. I mean, it's very versatile. There's body postures, hand postures, songs that go with each rune, intonations, the lore that is behind. It's just like this each rune is a little seed, and when you water it with your intention, which is energy of the West, it's each one starts to sprout, and each one will step forward in individual degrees and intensities, and they'll step forward when you need them the most. And that's what's happening with me. And that has metamorphosed into a Thursday night class. It's called Rune Chat or Rune Talks. Forgive me. I struggled with the name. Obviously, I still am. But I have, you don't have to take the Introduction to Runes course to get something out of it. But I have the privilege to do that every other Thursday. And we do, a rune cast and things like that. And we have a really good time. We really
Is
do it.
future goals is to possibly be able to do similar teachings online, like at least through Zoom or whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So I was given a set of runes when I was a child and I liked them. It was cool, but I never got very deep. Once again, kind of just surface level
Mhm,
knowledge, right?
mhm,
Um, but I know, being a Viking blood, which I am very much a Viking blood.
right.
Um, if you ever saw me, you'd be like, "Oh my gosh, she's a Viking." You'd be looking up at me. Um, I would love to feel it out, as in
Mhm.
what you're talking about. The songs, the stories, there's so much more meaning. My husband wanted to put them up like in different areas of the house and outside because this and that.
Yeah.
And I was like, sure, but I don't know exactly like which ones, Brad, you know? Um, so you will be offering things like that eventually, probably.
My go live date for Zoom, and I haven't even announced this yet. So this is hot off the
Oh
press.
my,
No one, not even my husband, knows this yet. So, Courtney,
oh my
put
goodness.
your tray table up. My target for my first online offering is the 21st of October, which is a Monday at 7 o'clock. I know Spirit is not
Girl.
giving me a minute's rest, but that one isn't going to be so much the runes, but this is the foundational manifestation information, and it's centered around the numbers 1 through 9 and obviously zero and the elements because the numbers that'll cover numerology, the elements that'll start because a lot of people are interested in tarot. I don't teach
Mm.
tarot in person out of respect for Jim, my godfather, at all my relations. So I was going to offer it online because I have folks out of town, out of country, and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Yeah, do it." And I'm like, "All right, spirit." So that's what we're starting with, numbers and the elements. So
Which is great foundation.
it
You gotta
is,
have a foundation.
right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, folks, beautiful stars. You heard it here first, apparently.
No pressure.
October 21st. Yeah, now Spirit's like, I mean, this is a big
Right.
boom, boom. Here we go.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's how it has to be. You
Hmm.
just jump on the horse and ride it, and everything else gets worked out. I mean, it's
Right.
just, yeah, that's how at least I roll. Um, two questions here. First, because of all of that willingness that you hold, I'm curious as to what is your signs? What's your sun, moon, and rising?
Oh boy. Well, I've shared it before, and so I am a Sagittarius sun. I
That's
am
that
a
fire.
Yeah, that's that mutable fire. I actually have a Cap moon
Okay.
and a Taurus rising. So
Oh, this is a good balance.
yeah.
This is a
Yep.
really good balance. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. I was curious because I'm not everybody, my dear Sophia, are willing to put themselves out there like that and, just get on board.
I've got to the point to where what thoughts are things, energy follows thought. And there is a certain point where if I give information, I mean, I'm not giving you degrees, I'm not giving you, conjunctions and things like that. This is very basic information, but it's nice to see an energy signature in action. That's what I
Mm,
love about astrology because it just shows you your potential. What you
mhm.
invest your time and energy, what you amplify as far as your potential, which is your birth chart, which for me is genetic DNA or
Yeah.
spiritual DNA. Sorry, it's been a long
Go
day.
ahead. Yeah.
It's just because a lot of people will look at their chart and then they'll start beating themselves up with it. And I'm like, okay, okay, I see you're looking for your challenges. I'll give you that. But let's focus on the positivity. What assets are you bringing to the table? Because it can't all be roses, you know? So I just, when
Yeah.
people are exploring astrology, be kind to yourself because you picked it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's why I, for the most part, stayed away from it because growing up in a family that my mother
Mm,
did it,
yeah.
every little thing that I did, it always turned into, well, that's because you're such and such is in this house, squared with blah, blah. It had nothing to
Hmm.
do with, no, I'm just a ornery teenager,
Well,
you know, like, so I kind of just surface level. But as
mm,
an adult now, I know that I understand the blueprint. I
hmm.
can look at it and go, yeah, yeah, that's where the pitfalls might happen, and this is the mighty heights you can maybe go, Courtney, that kind
Hmm.
of thing. You said your grandfather at your godfather at your shop, at the
Hmm.
shop.
Yep.
Is your family was involved in metaphysics, or is this just a thing that happened in adulthood and you see him as like my godfather?
When the metaphysical dookie hits the fan, Jim and Heather are my first phone call. Always.
Okay.
They have been in that position in my life for a little over 7 years now. And I could not be more grateful for the knowledge and the wisdom that, none of us can figure it out 100%, 100% of the time. And even when you're sharp on your game and quick on your feet, it's still a group effort when it comes to
Yes.
unfolding in a healthy fashion. So, yeah, Jim Pascala and Heather Barrett are
Nice.
the
Okay,
primary
and those
people
are
there.
the owners of all my relations
They've been on
metaphysics.
A7 before, a
That's
couple
what I was
times.
thinking that
Hmm.
Grandpa Brian it
Yeah.
goes, and that's what I thought. I don't know if I've ever seen when she was on, but I enjoy Jim very
Oh,
much
he's
so.
amazing. He's
I
amazing.
enjoy, yes, I enjoy because a great teacher eventually becomes a bit more silent in their approach,
Hmm.
and his just his approach, even in answering things with the compassion and the grace that you
Right.
would expect of a higher consciousness being.
Hmm.
And so what I have seen of Jim, and Grandpa Brian has told me a lot about him. These are
Yeah.
all people that you might see on Drama 7 on Friday nights.
Yep.
The link is below. Uh, I have appreciated him, definitely.
He's great.
Okay.
Yep.
So that must be how you kind of got involved with A7 is
Yep.
maybe Grandpa Brian.
Yep.
Okay.
About 2.5 years ago. And it was
Yeah.
a kicking and screaming situation. I'm more comfortable in front of the camera than I ever thought I ever would be. But it's also part of my stewardship.
Hmm.
If you have something and other people are interested and you're compelled and actually called to do it, then spirit will make a way. And my job is to get out of my own way and
Oh,
just follow the promptings. It takes a lot of
yes.
courage, but here we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
It does take a lot of courage and
Hmm.
willingness. I mean, I don't
Right.
know if people really give themselves enough credit when there's that kind of amount of willingness. And
Hmm.
it does take that. So you said you were born with gifts. Can you
Yes,
elaborate?
I will.
Um,
I will. Um, my my first friend was actually Spirit. His name was Johnny. And my first message was to my father when I was 3.5. So, yeah. And the one thing that I love, one about my dad, he's been in spirit for a little over 2 years now, is that he never judged me. I mean, he's Team
mhm.
Gemini. He was born on the cusp of magic. He didn't even know it. He was just like, that's my kid and I love her and she means what she's saying, so I'm going to believe her regardless. And knowing
Oh,
I had that
excellent.
safe space with him really helped when the rest of the world was kind of like, all right, you precocious little nerd. What are you doing here? You know?
Yeah.
So, I just, I spent a lot of time alone because a lot of people, when I would say something and it would be true, they would either ignore me, excuse me, or they would ostracize me
Yeah.
and
Back off.
not
Yeah.
allow, their kids. Or and then in school it was the same thing because I was raised in a parochial school, and it was
Mm,
the be seen not heard, and I just couldn't help it, and I never accepted the limitations and the culture and the things that were imposed on me, and I was punished a lot for it. But
yeah.
and my mom really isn't happy with what happened. And I told her, I said, I don't want to change any of it. And she's like, why? I was like, because if you change one thing about me, you change it all. And I'm kind of
Mm,
proud of where I'm at right now. You
yes.
can't minister to it unless you've lived it,
Right.
period.
Exactly. Fully
So,
agree. I
yeah,
fully agree. And that's a part of the amount of willingness too. I mean, when
right.
you got to fight for it for yourself, comes with a
Yeah,
whole lot of courage and willingness to make things happen. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
that's where it stems from. I do have to say thank you for sharing because a lot of the listeners here at Stars of the Morning Light, the beautiful stars here, that is something that I'm not able to relate to.
mhm,
And many of them, that was a lot of their experiences, either
yeah,
in their schools or family or society, just period all around.
right.
Um, I was not raised that way. I mean, I had my own complications with how I was raised.
Don't we all?
Um, yeah. Um, so it's something that I can't necessarily relate to. I can have compassion to it, but like you were just saying, that's a part of your story. And your
Mhm.
story then can now help others who are possibly in their 50s or 60s, around,
Yeah,
older people that are going, I'm just now trying to accept this about myself.
better than none at all.
That's what I say. That
Progress is
is what I say.
progress. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've never, in my life, I've never heard more people say that concept of like, you just, just sit there and be quiet. I
Mhm.
never understood that. I've never even, like, I didn't even think it was a thing that was actually said and done.
Mhm.
Um, until I moved down here to the South, and apparently that was just the custom with, I guess, all humans or kids growing up, apparently, that once again, oh my goodness. Well, then that does start to shape your whole life
Mhm.
until you want to accept and love yourself for who you are. And I don't have a story to share on that.
I mean, I wanted to be normal,
Mm,
but that's not what I signed up for. And I
mhm.
feel there's soul contracts. There's a lot of us in this community that believe in that. But when you look around and everybody else is doing this and you want to be like them, and it took a lot to get over that. And now that our culture is more welcoming to the metaphysical and spiritual life, it's easier. Um, but still getting that little boot from spirit every now and then, be like, you know what? It's time. Let's go. And it's like, but
Yeah.
I'm in my comfort zone. They're like, we don't care. Let's evolve. Let's go.
Yeah,
So
I'm always
yeah,
trying to negotiate. I'm always trying. That's the Leo in me.
I
Like, hey,
did.
did you
I
see my
did.
calendar? Little guides.
Right.
This is still my life that I gotta live.
Yep.
Like, I'm
Yep.
always negotiating.
Yep.
Well, give me just 5 more days to finish up this,
Right.
and I'll get right on that for you. A little bit of the Chicago in me too. Yeah, I'll get right on that for you. But because I still see it as it's like this is my life. I do have commitments. I have this, I have that.
That's
I
right.
know you're trying to help me in my greatest possible potentiality, but I'm gonna do this for a minute and then I'll get back to you. But that's
Right.
how I roll. You
Right.
know, I think the reason why is because I have now I'm definitely witnessing, and it's such a pleasure to witness. There tends to, at some point, people kind of go through a shift. As
Mhm.
in, I know people that have relied on their guides for like everything.
Mhm.
Going to the grocery store, doing this, doing that. They rely on their guides for
Yeah.
many, many years. And then those guides say, nope,
Mm.
don't know what to tell you. We're done. Stop. You have to make your own decisions.
Right.
And I know a lot of people that when that shift starts happening, that is actually for them to understand their own power.
True. Very true.
And so for me, I'm always trying to demonstrate that of like, hey, they're guides. They're not the decision makers.
Right. That it
Yeah,
reminds me of you're so heavenly minded, you're of no earthly good.
right.
And I feel that as an active psychic medium and metaphysician, that you have to have one foot firmly planted in both worlds. And if you're choosing to embrace your spiritualism as escapism, I could see a guide putting a temporary boundary on that behavior because it's not for your highest and best. But
True.
that's not the case with me, but I see what you're saying. I really do.
Yes. Yeah. And when things, and I think, and everybody's a case by case basis, right?
True.
And everybody's at different stages. And for there might be the people that still need the guides very much so, because they're
Hmm.
learning how to trust themselves,
True.
and then there's different stages of owning and accepting one's power,
Fair.
you know,
Yes.
that's, there's definitely different stages within that.
Knowing
And
your place is another
yes.
challenge because you can have all the knowledge, all the power, and all the ability in the world, but if you're arrogant about it and step out of
Yes,
your lane, if you will, there's repercussions.
there's
So,
repercussions. Yes, yes, I definitely agree. I've seen that a bunch of times.
hmm.
Seen that a bunch of times. If you say you're a psychic medium, and I know you are about to start working or be certified as a definite psychic medium with Chesterfield Camp. What
Yes.
is this holistic Chesterfield Camp? What is going on there, sister?
Okay, so I was called to Camp Chesterfield. Like my guides harassed me every day for 6 weeks. I'm in my Zen den with my
See.
Oreos and my Netflix, and my books, minding my attention. And it was like every day for 6 weeks. Group
Oh,
participation is to happen now. So, long story short, due to the merciless, loner, ostracized, you kind of get used to it after a while. I'm like, can you just whoop on me and I can take a pass? And they're like, no. I'm like, all
no.
right, cool.
Yeah.
So
It's that human free will is very strong and stubborn sometimes.
I'm glad I listened because about
Yeah.
6 weeks of that, I picked up the phone and called one of my development teachers, Normandy Ellis. She's amazing. And I told
Mhm.
her what was going on, and she was like, there's a couple places, but one that's local. So I'm like, okay. So I looked at the website and signed up for a class, started with ethics. It's like, all right, Spirit, if we're gonna do this, I
Oh,
need to see what I'm signing up for. I signed up for ethics first and on purpose.
God
And
bless you.
yeah, if I'm gonna drink the
Mm.
Kool-Aid, I want to know what flavor it is. Uh-huh.
Sweetheart, thank you. I just had a question like that last night in one of the classes, and I had to say there is ethics.
Oh yeah.
You might not find it in every shop, you might not find it with every practitioner, but there is a code of ethics.
Hmm.
I am so grateful. Everyone listening, please, stars, do know that. When you go to a medium, a tarot reader, whomever you're working with, Reiki, energy, any modality, there needs to be some form of ethics. So I'm so happy to hear this.
Yeah. Yeah, but it evolved. There are a total of 8 classes that you can take online and in person for the first level of proficiency, which at Camp Chesterfield's called Seeker. And it's not easy, but it's obtainable. It takes work, it takes intention. You have to show up and want it. And then there's a couple other tracks. Seeker's the first one. And then I pursued mediumship and metaphysics one in equal measure. So I'm submitted to test for metaphys or for mediumship, and I got my study packet and a study buddy, and I'm just taking it one step at a time. I mean, whew, it's a lot. And then I work the psychic fairs because it's about service. I'm not compensated when I
Mhm.
work a psychic fair online or in person, but what I am doing is supporting camp, because there's a
Okay.
lot of older buildings and a lot of other things that need, money to push it forward in a healthy direction. And that's what I'm all about. Camp ministered to me. So in my heart, that's my way of paying things back is with my most precious resource, my time. So I'm more than willing
So,
and happy to do that.
Stephanie, so when we say Camp Chesterfield, Holistic Camp Chesterfield, that's the name of it?
Camp Chesterfield, it's a spiritualist camp, and it's
So
on the
it's
sign it
literally like
says,
a camp, like buildings
yeah.
and grounds
Oh yeah. Oh,
and
they're gorgeous. You need to
oh
come out. You need to come out,
man.
Courtney. You will
That
never
girl, I
forget
can
it.
drive all over the place. Driving
Let's
ain't
go.
nothing.
Let's go.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so they must hold like retreats and
Oh
events. I
yeah.
know you're going to be there
Yep.
for Halloween Fest.
There's Halloween. There's three now. There's three major festivals. There's Mayfest. The Crown Jewel was, I believe, last weekend. Things are in fast forward for me. Not last weekend,
That's
before
okay.
last. Is
Yeah.
Spirit Fest. We had 90 vendors, healers. It was amazing. You could backstroke in the energy.
I
Ooh,
think my friend Thomas Freeze was there.
probably there were a lot of
Thomas
people.
Freeze works throughout Kentucky and Indiana. He writes books like Tree Spirits and he does palm readings. And I think Thomas was there. Oh, goodness.
We had a
I gotta get up to
blast.
Indiana.
Yeah, you do.
Wow.
And then,
So, can
yeah, Halloween
people
Fest is coming up.
Halloween now is that what days is that? Do you know what days that is? I'm gonna
I
write that down.
signed up for it. Daytimer. Here it is.
And
Stacks
beautiful
for
stars,
stacks.
do know that the links for Camp Chesterfield, Halloween Fest, how to reach Sophia here, all my relations, um, metaphysical shop, all of the information you need is in the description below. So everybody, all you got to do is right now hit that like button for me, please. Well, everybody can take it, pause, hit the like button, hit that description and read and click. That's where it is. Have fun. Have fun. Enjoy what services are out there. And remember, Sophia, you're going to want to at least find her on Facebook or somewhere because
Yep.
October 21st, supposedly, guys, she's going online. So,
Oh, oh, I have the privilege of people providing me. I have about 12 emails, and there's a small charge to it. I'm still working that out with Spirit, but something that's
yeah,
palatable. And you're not so
yes,
much
yeah,
paying me for my information, just compensating me for my time and expenses. So it's not going to be
yes.
ridiculous, but that's to be announced. But Halloween Fest is at Camp Chesterfield. It's October 26th and 27th. So a Saturday, Sunday event.
Nice.
And most of it, there'll be some stuff outside, but most of it's going to be inside, because that time of year can be kind of no thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
But yeah, it's the
lovely.
first one ever, and I'm going to bring my A game. Let's go.
Oh, I'm coming next year.
Let's do
I'm
it.
coming. Yeah,
The
I'm coming.
Western, we even have a hotel on grounds. So if like with
Wow.
you, since you're out of town, there's a hotel, the Western, that you can even, if you have an RV, you can bring that. I think they shut those down after Labor Day though.
Yeah, maybe, but
Yeah, to keep things safe for the
wow.
RVs. Oh, we have
Okay,
a
and
blast.
so you told me behind stage that you're working towards, I guess, one camp there. How does that work? Like, does staff then live on the property to help throughout? I would assume conferences, retreats, events,
Right, right.
classes, all that goes on.
There are full-time residents and part-time residents. I eventually, once I get through everything, because there's a vetting process, you have to be approved to buy a house on campgrounds. And there's other things, what's your intention? Why do you want to be here? I want to teach. You know, I really have a burden for giving and empowering people. But it's there's a huge possibility I'll be
so all you beautiful stars, I'm not sure if the recording kept going, didn't keep going. Who knows what happened? I'm sure maybe I can gel the two together, possibly. I don't know what just happened there. The computer just knocked everything out. That's fine. We will see what happens. Because even beautiful Sophia paused the recording. So thank you, my dear. Then I'm
got you.
hoping we're back because I don't know. Things happened. I really don't know. So we were talking about how you're going through the process to hopefully, you know, live in one of the cabins.
Yeah, there's cottages and then there's full flood houses. And
Okay.
I have the privilege and actively going through the process of purchasing a cottage there. And I'm
Wow.
excited, and just knowing the mediums that have lived on those grounds and served on those grounds, it's just like it's it's hard to wrap my head around sometimes, but I'm just gonna keep going. Gonna keep
Wow.
going.
Is this outside of Indianapolis area?
Chesterfield is east of Anderson, Indiana. So
Okay.
it's outside of Indianapolis, definitely. But Chesterfield's a little town outside of Anderson to the east. Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. I wonder how long I'll have to really research this. I wonder all the history. I mean, I'm probably gonna look into everything.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Just proving the continuity of life. So that will remove the fear of the change that we call death, and knowing that our loved ones, they do, in my persuasion, they don't disappear. They are still loving and supporting us every step of the way, even our animals. And in my experience, death is not the end. It's a comma, not a period. So
Yeah.
I take great comfort and sticking to that conviction, which is the heart of spiritualism, is proving the continuity of life.
Hmm.
Yes, evidence.
Hmm.
Yep.
Hmm.
Can't help it. I'm a metaphysical nerd. I've tried.
Hmm. Hmm. I know I've heard that before. It's been a very long time since I've heard someone say that. So then
Yep.
I also know that your training is good.
Yes.
So, you know what I kind of, anyways, that's my own personal thing. Um, yes, I haven't heard that in a long time. You can see that in all ways, shapes, and forms.
Hmm.
Uh, then do you believe in reincarnation
Yes, I
for
do.
the continuous of life? Good,
Yep, I
good.
do.
Wow, my goodness.
Hmm.
Um, I have no idea now how long we've been recording or what's going on. That threw me. Beautiful stars. Everybody usually here knows that, like, once something tech happens, I'm like, whoa, the world just changed on me. Um, you said though that when you do the readings for at least Chesterfield, it's all, I'm assuming donation based then for them
The
to
psychic
help
fairs.
the psychic fairs.
The psychic
Okay.
fairs, all of my time in the readings go to support camp, and I'm very happy to have that opportunity because camp is growing and quickly, and I love being a part of it. But at the shop, and I do phone readings. I mean, there's wherever spirit calls, I show up. And it's been a very, oh, I don't know the right word to use. It's exhilarating and just what a privilege, it's sometimes I'm like, if I would have thought this is where I was going to be 10 years ago, it would have been like, wow. But I just put,
At the beginning, you said that you're not just a steward over, the goods and what you have, but you're a steward over your gifts.
yes, yes,
And that's how you can remain grateful and see it
true.
as like a privilege as to I'm serving others.
Right, right. And after going through what I went through as a child, with it not being as accepted as it is now, I just thought something was wrong with me. And when
Mm,
people convince themselves that something is wrong with them, then self-destructive behavior can unfold. And I was no exception in that regard. And when I finally accepted myself exactly how I am, flaws and all, I'm like, okay, I choose to remain here. I choose to grow because you have to allow things in your life. Just holding on to that idea and that concept, that's just a baby step. But you have to say, okay, I allow that in my life. And then
yeah,
the following suit with the affirmations, the actions, the meditation. It's like driving an expensive vehicle. You can't put cheap gas in it. You know,
yeah.
there's a lot of maintenance and self-care that goes into this path, but it's very it's amazing and it's worth it. And I have no intention in any way, shape, or form of stopping anytime soon.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Nope, nope, nope. I'm here. I'm on bonus time.
How long have you, I guess, really delved into the self discovery and self-awareness and self-acceptance, leading into the role of who Sophia is, at least at this moment? Like, how long have you been on that? Of course, yes, your whole life, but
It started at 11. Um, that's when astrology and the runes introduced me to them. It was really cool. I also had a near-death experience, which really changed things for me. I got into a transmission line going into a neighborhood and hung on to an electric line of 7,000 volts and 250 amps for about 6 seconds. And the scars, yep, they're there, and saw some cool stuff. But after that happened, that really opened the door for spirit to be more clear, if that was possible. But it was just after that, the teenage angst, that was never fun, but I was never alone, ever, ever.
mm,
And I would say about 20 three is when I started doing professional readings and for the public. And it's been on and off, and I've had what are called energetic reboots to where I'll lie dormant
mm,
for a while. My last reboot
mm,
was in 2014, and I'm gonna keep going. I feel that some of us, not all of us, have times of slumber to
mm,
where we just need to take a break. But
yeah,
I'm not unless spirit, unless I don't have a way around it. I'm on bonus time. I shouldn't be here.
mm,
That electric shock should have killed me. And so I'm just like, if we're gonna be here, let's have fun with it. And that's what we're doing.
yeah.
Yep.
Do as much as we can. Yeah,
Right.
in the
Right.
energy of service, because I know with re with the majority of readers, I should say, um, it is in the spirit of service.
Right.
Yeah.
To be
Wow.
healthy with it. That's the approach that was impressed on
Yes.
my heart. Hmm.
Yes. Yes. So can you give us what a day in your life would look like to maintain somewhat of that balance and grounding and self-care that is needed?
It depends on the day. If
Of
I'm
course.
actively reading at the shop, mean, every day is coffee first, always. We run on caffeine and jelly beans. Yes, we do.
Right.
And generally, depending on what's going on, there's meditation, a lot of it, to kind of set the tone for the day. There's also opening work, which comes out of the Havamal to remind me, what my focus is, remind me who I am.
Mm.
So I don't fall, into the stinking thinking. It's like when you
Yeah.
start your day, reminding yourself who you are, standing in your power, claiming your truth, rinse, repeat. That's kind of like letting that old Buick warm up. So while I
Yes.
drink my
Right.
coffee, it sometimes it has to do with reading. Right now, I'm reading a fabulous book that has a lot of Clifford Bias in it. He's a past medium at Camp Chesterfield and other spiritualist camps and churches. But
Nice.
it, yeah, it's when I get ready, if I'm going to be working at the shop all day, there's what's called a like a holy bath, where
Hmm.
when I'm doing my physical maintenance, the imagery in my mind, like all the negativity is flowing off of me and down the drain, and then I anoint myself. And there's certain jewelry that I wear for it's like extra buttons on the dashboard, like you have the NOS button, so different earrings and things, they have intention. I program them to hold that vibration because I can read for 6, 7 hours straight.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
having my allies with me. And then there's a closing work, and that's basically calling my energy back to me that's not being used and recentering, and kind of like a computer, there's a shutdown mode. So
Yeah.
it's knowing when I'm fit to serve. So, like when my father passed, I put myself on the bench for at least 3 months. I'd have to get my day timer out. But if I cannot be at the frequency of courage or higher, then what I bring to the table may not be as helpful. And
Right.
that's part of being a responsible reader, is knowing when you're fit to read and not to chase. That's the thing with the
Mm.
ethics. I don't
Thank
approach
you.
people. I don't approach
Yeah.
people. Some do. That's fine. Okay, but my conviction, people come to me and ask for a reading, and a lot of it's word of mouth. That's great. And when I am at the shop, I'll say, "Hey, come by the shop for to let people know
Right.
I'm there." But I don't
Right.
pursue individuals. I feel that that is distasteful.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yes, knowing
I
my
no,
place,
yes, well, it started with the your base of ethics, which is very important.
it is.
Very important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, thank you for sharing that because I there's a lot of people in this community that are just kind of now stepping into some kind of modality of some kind or another, and it's nice for them to hear from someone other than myself, that there does need to be balance. Um, sweetheart, I think whenever I heard you speak, like on Andromeda 7, it was always you were very grounded, rooted in compassion, and with this lovely underlining energy of understanding that people are just people,
Mm-hmm.
which for me means lack of judgment. No, the need of judgment is not present, right?
Right. Unconditional
Um,
love.
yes, yes, that people are just people.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to have you be interviewed for Stars of the Morning Light is that
Oh,
it's rare to see that there are others out there that can witness people as just who they are
you want to know my
with no
secret?
judgment. Yeah, go ahead. Yes, I do. Sure. We love secrets here. We do.
It's very liberating. The key, at least for me, with unconditional love is we're all divine sparks of source, every last one of us. And it's my job to honor that divine spark within each individual. So now, if somebody's going through a challenge and they're exhibiting toxic behavior, that doesn't mean that I love them any less. Sometimes, if they were allowed close to me and then I have to push them out to keep it healthy, boundaries are there for a reason, and boundaries are meant to move. So, and it
Hmm.
is on a day-to-day basis. Just because somebody is, and the stranger or whatever, once they build trust with me, then they're allowed to get closer to me. And if they break my trust, the scenery will change, because proximity is a privilege. Getting close to somebody is a blessing. And if they can't handle it, it becomes my responsibility to say, I'm going to continue to love you, but I have to push you far enough away to keep it healthy for both of us. But
Hmm.
it's not permanent. It's not permanent. It's just until their behavior stops or my frequency stabilizes. It's
Yes,
very
right,
situational, but love the
right.
person, boundary for behavior.
Yeah, yeah. Um, do you, with boundaries being set, do you feel other people's energy?
Every day,
Oh
every
my
day.
goodness.
And a lot of people are like, oh, don't run wide open all the time. Well, I've been doing this since birth, okay? And actually have used it as a coping skill to vet
Mm,
strangers. Is this person healthy? Is this person going to hurt me? So,
yeah.
doing this for 29 years, we all know I'm a little older than that, but you follow me. Um, Everybody operates beautifully as an individual, and this is my truth. Would I
Right.
recommend that somebody be wide open and in touch with everything all the time? That has its own set of challenges, but
Yes.
it's like a volume on a radio. I can turn it down and turn it up, but I can always feel and hear something,
Okay. Okay.
always.
That's a lovely analogy there, like the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the awareness. I
Mm-hmm.
think the difference as to you that's been gifted since birth and can always feel, hear, experience,
Yeah,
you have the awareness of what's happening, you have the awareness of it. So that radio dial, you know that you have control over it.
100%. The medium is always in control. But with that
Exactly.
knowledge comes the responsibility.
Yes, ma'am. I fully agree. I do fully agree. And I think that's what is also meant by the boundaries.
Hmm.
Because when you start talking about the boundaries, most people around me know that, well, I'm a stickler for the rules of the road, and I kind of apply them to my life as
Hmm.
in 200 following distance at all times, people. Meaning my boundaries are so firm as in your energy does not affect me, my energy does not affect you unless it's allowed. Like
Correct.
that's how much I am responsible with what goes on
Hmm.
with me. You know what I
Right.
mean? So, and but it has to do with the self-awareness. It has to do with the
Yep.
self-value as well,
Yes.
right? I value
Yes.
myself enough to 200 feet following distance unless I let you creep closer,
Right.
you know?
Right. Yep. And,
Yeah.
and knowing what vibration you're at, and not,
Yes.
if you know you're facing a challenge, the only thing I can really think of that's fresh for me is grief. It is knowing that it's okay to take a moment, not to shut down, but to realize, hey, what I'm going to put out is not going to be of the quality that I require. So, and then focusing on the self-care, doing, processing the grief, not employing escapism. It's just,
Yes.
it's part of the deal.
Yeah. And I tend to overcommit myself.
I understand that.
Yeah, and then I'm like, I'm running on fumes.
Yeah.
Okay, then that means I have to take away from this to then do the self-care to be able to do this to then do that. Like I'm always shifting because
Hmm.
I accidentally overcommitted myself Um, and then I get hit real fast and I go, okay, only next few weeks of this, and then you're you're out. Like
Yep.
that 200 following distance turns into like 5,000 feet, like 5,000 following
Whatever it
distance. Nobody come near
takes.
me.
Right.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
100%. Quality is within our control the vast majority of the time.
yes,
I love that about you,
yes.
Courtney. I love
Yeah.
that
Oh,
about you. That's
yeah.
wonderful.
Well, I haven't, I somehow I was able to learn the word no really well. It was like the third word that I learned as a baby,
Mm.
and I never stopped using it. But then my heart and my mind and everything goes, yeah, I can do all this for everybody. I could do this. This would be great. Yes, let's all do. And then I realized, oh my goodness. Yep, I gotta bring back that word no.
Well, that's funny that you should bring that up because there's two words that I do my very best. No isn't something, it's hard for me to say it, isn't something that I employ. When I don't feel drawn to something in order to keep the potential door open, it's
Mm,
not yet, not yet.
mm,
And the other one is should. You should have done this. Should is energy of the past. Thou shalt
ugh,
not should thyself. Because if you're
yeah,
I shoulda, then you're looking towards the past. Your energy is in the breath and the heartbeat, the here and the now. And if you're shoulding
yeah,
yourself, it can become toxic. But it's
yeah.
like a habit. It can be challenging to reprogram your verbiage and thoughts and words are very powerful.
When let's say the stinking thinking comes in, are you the type of person that you're more in the past or are you in the future?
Was more past focused because I have a sentimental heart. So
Okay.
what I will purposely, if I know that I'm not centered, which is in the here and now. I will do things that are tactile, like digging in the soil, putting my
Mm,
feet in the soil, listening to live radio, listening to live music, participating in a social event with people around me. That's also a form of self-care. Because
mm-hmm,
if you're in the past and you're there for more than 15 minutes and you're alone,
mm.
that can be, especially depending on the topic, because we
Yeah.
don't generally go back there to think about good things. And that's
No, right.
what I share with people that I have the privilege to work with. If you're going to go to the past, don't just focus on the negative. It's like when you have
Mhm.
the privilege of correcting a child, positive, negative, positive. We are no different. We are no
Right.
different. If you're going to go to the past, you need to focus on positive. Don't just beat yourself up with it. That's not okay.
Okay. I was wondering because when I was young, I would say, I mean, way young, it dawned on me that the world was consumed with what if.
Right?
And then I said that to somebody once, still young, and they said, no, it's consumed with should.
Mm, mm,
And then I came
both.
to find out that because I'm a future mind, like I'm usually never in the past. If I'm going to be obsessing, it's always something in the future. Like since I was a kid, something in the future.
Mm,
Um, that it's either or, depending on the mindset of the person that for me, the world is consumed with what ifs, meaning
mm,
so many people have fears as to what if something happens, what,
right.
this could happen, that could happen. Or it's those who are consumed with the shoulds of yesterday.
Hmm.
And so that's why I was curious and yes, it seems to be it's tends to be either or for folks. Like I said, mine is I do balance mine and mine becomes healthy, but if I get too wrapped up with something in the future that I'm still questioning,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, I have to stop and go, Courtney, is that happening right now? No, that is not happening right now. But I'm usually never in the past.
Well, there have been times, especially when the big life events happen, it's only
Mhm.
natural to scenario, play the tape
Yes.
forward a little bit. But it's when you become obsessive, when you're not
Mhm.
giving yourself a break and doing anything else, and it's pulling your energy signature down to a frequency that can be toxic. But what
Yeah.
happened with me is I would, especially when life happened and I lost my father, I would go to sleep listening to the Poetic Edda, specifically the Havamal. And the
Hmm.
Havamal speaks sayings of the High One, which would be Odin or the One-Eyed.
Hmm.
You don't worry for tomorrow because your problems are still going to be there.
Hmm.
And when I would go to sleep listening to that, it really resonated with me. It's like, oh man, All Father's right. It's not going to change anything. Me obsessing about it, of the future or ruminating on something of the past, I'm rendering myself useless to spirit because I'm not in the breath and the heartbeat, the energy of the now. And I feel, um,
Exactly.
the enemy, which for me is chaotic, unbalanced energy, things that are outside of natural universal law, they can use our own knowledge against us sometimes to put us out of service. But being responsible, being aware, and being connected, you can turn the table and be like, well, I see what you're doing. I'm choosing to turn on upbeat music. I'm choosing the aromatherapy. I'm choosing to bring the flowers and the candles or whatever it is, or the cuddly fur kids into the
Yes.
situation to dispel something, because we all have our moments of weakness. And
Yes.
standing in my truth and using my energetic coping skills, it's powerful. It's
Yes.
powerful and it's
One of the,
necessary.
I fully agree. One of the biggest reasons why we moved to the South was because if I am too much in my head, and
Mm,
I'm a very intense person anyways, my energy's intense. I know it. It
yeah,
is what it
me too.
is. It always has been.
Yeah.
But then if I'm too much in my head, my poor double cancer husband is like, please, please, that
Chocolate.
I have, yes, right. I have to go out and go for a walk. I
Hmm.
have to go for a walk. I have to
Yep.
walk it out.
Yep.
I have to go for a hike. I
Hmm.
have to. And that nature takes care of it.
It does.
Within 20 minutes of a walk, I'm good. Like, oh, thank you, all the trees. Thank you, all the air. Thank you for releasing me from my own madness type thing. And my
Hmm.
energy's better. Well, living in Northern Illinois, there's like damn near the whole year you can't go for a walk because
Right.
it's too cold outside.
Right.
That it was just the winter became way too much when it's, maybe negative 15. You can't. And it just was not healthy for this mind that I know if I just go for a walk for 20 minutes, I'm good,
Hmm.
which physically makes me better. Everything.
Right.
So for me, a lot of it is having to physically actually remove myself from the environment that my mind is racking itself in and being a part of some form of nature communication. That for
100%.
me. And so that was my, and or if I stay inside because it is winter, then I tap into little Courtney. Because if I know if I'm being too much in here, it's because little Courtney's crying somewhere,
Yep.
screaming,
Self-care.
crying, what yeah. So
Hmm.
then, at least once or twice a month, when I first started, it was like all the time. But at least once or twice a month, I'm like, hey, little Courtney, I got 2 hours. What do you want to do? I
Hmm.
give her that time and space to like, okay, I guess we're coloring a picture. I guess
Oh
we're gonna
yeah.
lay with our dog and watch kid video cartoons for the next 2 hours, Yeah.
Whatever it
So,
takes.
yes, whatever it takes from the journaling that you mentioned, which the pen is so right on. I think it's our truest voice.
Hmm.
When we write it out, it's where our true feelings come out. It's when we don't lie to others. You can't lie to yourself when it comes out
Hmm.
on a pen. So much wonderful, great, brilliant things have been discussed tonight. do you want to leave us with any sage advice? And I want to remind all the beautiful stars that have been listening, thank you. Please share it out. Let everyone know. Hit the thumbs up. Be here on Friday night at 8 p.m. with Esoteric Tea with Lucky Smith. And then hop over to Andromeda 7. I don't know if you'll be there this Friday, but Sophia's there quite often. She's a busy bird right now, though,
Oh my
folks.
gosh,
But
literal
at
bird.
least go below, subscribe to them, check out all of the info, and leave a comment below. Let us know if any of this resonated with you. Let us know if you do the same thing. Let us know when the last time you journaled was.
Yeah.
Because if it's been a while and now we're having you remember right now, maybe that's something you can do tonight after you're done listening to this. So, Miss Sophia, after all said and done, what would be some great sage advice?
The first one that came forward when you're journaling, it doesn't, no punctuation, no spelling, no grammar. Let it flow. It don't critique yourself because it's a pressure relief valve. And it doesn't
Mhm.
have to be words. It can be a sketch. If you're not feeling, verbiage, I mean, just start doodling and just express yourself because you're the way you are for a very good reason. And,
Yes,
and there's
I
nothing
fully
wrong
agree.
with you. Um,
Yeah.
the second one would be, and this is spirit that's bringing this forward, natural law, universal law, um, just spending a little bit of time with that because natural laws like gravity. It is. It doesn't have a
Mhm.
personality. It doesn't have feelings. You can't, it is. So when you learn about the metaphysical truths that exist, have existed, and will continue to exist, you can learn to flow with instead of
Mhm.
against. Because when I go against
Yes.
natural law, that's when the unbalance and the chaos unfolds. So if you're aware of it, you have a new ally that's not hooked
Yes.
up in feelings. And then what was the last one? It's gone. It's probably not important, but definitely love yourself where you're at and keep
Yeah.
going. Be authentic because there's many
Yes.
beautiful people that talk themselves in and out of stuff, and it's everybody I feel brings something to the table.
I
They
think
really
everyone
do.
does. I think that's beautiful to journal without judgment,
Yeah.
to work with the energies, not against the energies,
Yeah.
and to know that you're valued. I think that's wonderful. To be authentic. I tend to think now in today's world of like, well, what else do you got to lose? You know? What else do you got to lose? I think you got a ton to gain.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly you have, right?
I am blessed. I am
Yeah.
grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Lovely Sophia, thank you for having this conversation with us. Beautiful stars. Once again, you can catch her occasionally over at Andromeda 7 on Friday nights after Lucky Stone and I are talking here for Esoteric Tea. All of the information is below. Even to review Chesterfield Camp because wow, that sounds amazing.
It is.
Their Halloween fest that I know some of you Yankees up there in the north, I know who's listening, could get on down to Indianapolis. It's just down yonder, as they would say. So you can get on down there, have some fun. I'm sure there's going to be a great good time there.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any palm readers there? Do you know?
Oh, definitely.
Oh,
Definitely.
see?
Yep.
See how cool is
Yep.
that? You know you want to do that at Halloween, folks.
Hmm.
And reach out at all my relations on the west side of Indianapolis and or anticipate because that's a beautiful, inspiring word for October 21st. Stay in touch with Sophia. I'll even put maybe her Facebook below or whatnot so you can contact her and be with her, and her email is below. So Lovely Miss Sophia. It's been a blast, sister. This has been fun.
We need to do this again. I
We
have had
can.
a wonderful time. Thank you.
I would love to have you on to talk about Norse
All
stuff
day long.
because
Oh, let's go.
I know enough that serves me, but I don't know
Hmm.
enough to serve the public. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to have you on for that because, and then my Viking blood would be like, yes, ah.
It's rich. It's primal and it's very fulfilling for me.
Ah,
It's the lore is so rich. When I read it, it comes alive, and I've been blessed with the ability to share it and speak it, and it's like I'm there. It's amazing.
oh, really?
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Hmm.
Nice. It resonates with me, but it's like it's weird because it's like, was it there in past life? I did have a psychic once. We were talking about things, and she was like, "Oh, Valhalla will accept you, Courtney." And I was like, she said it like out of nowhere, and I was like, "Really? Well, then, radio, let's go." Like, cool. I'm
If
glad.
you pass
Thank you for the
if you
clarification.
pass in battle, that is the way to get to Valhalla, because there's more than one place of existence that people
That's
go. Yeah, but Valhalla is the
It
most
was
popular.
interesting. It's the most popular, and but that was I said that to somebody else, and they were like, "Well, that's only for warriors," and I was like, "Well, considering all the lives, I don't know,
What
right?"
kind of warrior are you? Some people do battle with their minds,
Exactly.
some do it with their
Right.
body. So
Right.
I'm of the universalist persuasion, which I feel anybody can connect to the Norse pantheon or the Proto-Germanic,
Yes.
because there's many facets over long period of time. But I feel that anybody's open to experience it in a very enriching way. I
I
really
agree.
do.
I agree.
Mhm.
I believe that of all cultures and
Mhm.
religions and beliefs. I
Yeah,
really believe that. Because this is a beautiful melting pot of the whole world. I am
agreed.
as you, I am as you are as I am. I believe it wholeheartedly.
I'm a fan.
Um, yeah. So, well, there you go, folks, you beautiful stars, you wonderful shining lights. Sophia says she'll be back and we will be discussing Norse, which I can
Yeah.
guarantee, Sophia, in the chat right now, everybody's like, yes, yes, because they've been wanting it for so long. So we will have Miss Sophia back. And in the meantime, everyone, enjoy yourselves. Do in joy. Miss Sophia, thank you so much.
My
Bye,
pleasure.
everybody.
Bye, guys.